horrible, horrible. And this was a group I liked, whose first show I liked, and yet I thought sophomoric would be a kind word to use. And I just kept, and it's been praised as one of the better shows in the festival. So I plead guilty for not coming to enough, or coming to any, but at the same time, I've been feeling that it's not all that exciting, and particularly in contrast to the Radar LA Festival, which was just brilliant. It opened one's eyes to what theater can be.
Do you think, if I may, stand the ground, because what you're saying is very important. I've seen probably 6 shows on the Radar, and probably here, I don't know, maybe 25. I don't know how many shows. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I pretty much 24/7 split up in Los Angeles explosion of theater. I think those components I find to be very vital. Specifically Neva. I spoke to the people after, and because I'm Russian, it just got into my heart. It was an amazing piece. And you know what they said? They said that the theater was too big, and they actually would rather do it in a small space. And I told them, you know, guys, your show would fit beautifully at Artworks Theater. And you know what they said too? The next year Fringe, we can talk about bringing it to the Fringe. There's something about theaters, zones that we have, different theaters have different atmospheres. It's much more, it is very important. What they brought is an international cross-pollination, which we need desperately here. And I have to say that Mark Murphy has very good taste. He brought really specifically special companies that he brought Fleur. That piece was incredible.
The two-dimensional life.
Two-dimensional life.
I know.
So, but we have something here. I've seen shows, I can vouch, that can actually grow. The Radar people should come and start shopping here to see what they can bring next year over there. We're talking about, this is cross-pollination in a much larger scale, where we can go there, and a proposal that I will be making for the director and the writer of Neva is to make it in 3 languages, to make it in Spanish as it is, to do another production in Russian, and to make another production in English. To have 3, because we can find 9 people who can do it in Los Angeles. But actually, they already have 3, so only 6. And I can guarantee you we will actually ignite this in an unusual way as well, because we will be appealing to different audiences.
Thank you.
The larger point is that you've got 2 festivals side by side, and they have completely different purposes. One is a curated festival, and one is by design a non-curated festival. One is the very purpose of Radar is to bring in the exotic and in a way to inform us of what's possible. And the very purpose of the Fringe is to just open up the doors and see what rolls in and see what the influences may be now or in the future. So I think it's very much like Edinburgh, which you have the two festivals side by side. You have the very curated Edinburgh Festival running alongside the Edinburgh Fringe, which is, you know, if you see a random 5 things, it's going to be very dispiriting. The festival has existed for 50 years nonetheless, and there's a very real reason for that, and I don't think we should forget that.
Yes.
Did everyone on the panel answer that first question?
No.
No. Go ahead, Charlotte.
I have not. I'm sorry to say I have not seen anything at the Fringe. I didn't get to see anything at Radar. That has mostly to do with the other part of my life. So I work 6 days a week, and now it's 8 to 9 p.m. and 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So it's heartbreaking. I would have loved to have seen a lot of stuff. I just didn't.
And you are, and you're assigned. You're assigned.
Right, but I had to turn down actually, sadly. But that's has nothing to do with it.
So it's a choice. Turn down.
You weren't assigned coverage, in other words. In other words, you weren't assigned coverage by your paper.
I assume that the LA Times sent people. I don't actually know because I'm not a member of staff. I'm just.
But you said earlier that you see shows that you're assigned.
Yes,
so therefore
correct.
you were not assigned any shows. That's
Correct,
why
but
you
I
need
said
coverage.
I couldn't, so that's why.
Well, right, you were unavailable. Okay.
Rebecca?
I also am assigned by Stephen, but I actually had to take myself out of rotation for the past 2 weeks because I've been working with I think this addresses your question, Don, about why we can't have a camp for critics. Because Sasha Anawalt
right.
from USC and the NEA does a NEA Theater Journalism Fellowship. And it's a 10-day, really intensive for 21 to 25 fellows from all over the country. And they come to LA. And this has been happening for 7 years, right, Stephen? Is that right?
This was the 6th year.
This was the 6th year, I think. And what they do is they come and they see a ton of shows, and they write overnight reviews, and they get edited by people like Stephen Lee Morris and Laurie Ochoa from Slake, old editor of LA Weekly, and Dominic Papatola from St. Paul, and Howie Shapiro and Jeff Weinstein, and so, I mean, tremendous editors. But the funding for that, this was the last year because it's pulled, so there will be no more of that. But anyway, it was the NEA, the fellowship. It covered Radar very extensively, and the TCG conference as well, and Hollywood Fringe. And yeah, we had a lot of reporters come here. They were very interested in the Fringe because they wanted to know what LA theater was about. Radar, of course, is glamorous, and the shows are.
It was more than glamorous.
More than glamorous, I agree. And I also agree with you that Brucey and Willie, again, for me, the restaging of it was not as, I preferred the old production. But yeah, it was more than glamorous, I agree. But it's two different things, and these theater critics from all over the country were equally interested, really.
Did they get to see any of the regular shows that were playing outside the festivals?
They went to, no, I don't think so. I'm trying to think if anyone saw.
One of them was trying to do what he called off the radar, off the grid. That was the
Off
term
the
he
grid,
used.
yeah.
So there was one of the critics made special efforts to do that, but I don't know what he saw. But he was
Maybe
picking up
Stoudt,
stuff that was neither Fringe nor radar.
No, Radar.
All right, well, we are about to open up the floor for questions. Once again, for our internet audience and for anybody, 323-253-3887 if you'd like to send in a question. And now we're gonna ask a question that'll kind of put you guys on the hot seat here. Who is your favorite LA critic and why? I think it's interesting. If you have one? Yes, Rebecca.
I just want to, I think Harvey, you mentioned this, but it's one of our critics, Bill Radin. He's an incredible writer, for one, and he's very opinionated. He's whip smart, and and he manages to make it interesting even when he contextualizes and pulls from, all these all different mediums of art, which I think is important for you to do as a critic, to put it in terms of music and also visual art and also dance and books, and he's able to do that in a really creative way that is engaging to me as a reader.
I delight in all these guys, for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Every one of these people are fascinating writers. I sometimes think they're nuts. Sometimes think they're way beyond my abilities, but they're all fascinating to read. And collectively, that's what the point is. It's not ever to be one person. That's why Bitter Lemons is so useful in that sense. It collects all of us, and you make your own decision from that. But
Don?
I wanted to turn that question in a somewhat different direction. There was a panel there have been so many panels, but there was another one last Sunday that John Steplin organized. And I made the point in my brief description of it in saying that out of 12 panelists, all were white, and 9 of the 12 were men. And I would say most of them were middle-aged white men. And so because I made the point out of saying this, I feel that I should also draw attention to the fact that this is an all-white panel, and most of these are middle-aged or older men.
how dare you?